one stage I turned around and this woman downed her drink. She then threw up back into her glass and then she just carried on drinking the drink.
No.
As in, yes.
With the vomit in it?
Yeah, as in she had no comprehension. Yeah, I'm not joking. You're overheating.
No, but
Do you sweat?
do I sweat?
Freely.
Sorry.
Are you a free sweater?
I'm sorry. No. The only time, like, I don't wear deodorant day to day, do you?
Do you not?
No, I just don't never feel like I need to. Although, the only time I ever find I like smell a bit, get like nervous sweats, like panicky sweats, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But no, I don't, not a free sweater. I glow. Glow like you.
Chewy glow.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of season 3 of Running Loose. My name's Francesca Cumani.
And I'm Vanessa Ryle.
And it's great to have you with us again. And you might notice a change of scenery if you are watching us, but if you're listening, we have relocated to a more studio environment and I'm quite liking it.
Yeah, we've gone from one extreme to the other. We were literally outside in a bit of wind and rain at York for the first 2 episodes, and now we've kind of reverted to being tucked up in a very warm studio.
It's very warm. I'm slightly regretting my outfit choice. I'm not sure what I was thinking going with the cardi and the top underneath.
Casual cardi as well.
No, I should have really like branched out and gone for something a bit more kind of light. But I've actually realised I went through my wardrobe this morning and I was like, worn that. And because we're living in such a tiny area, I've got kind of 20% of my normal clothes. So I've just got nothing to wear.
You're allowed to rewear, Cheska. It's very woke to rewear, isn't it? Very 2025. Bring it all out again. I would never do that.
But re-wearing, you've worn that before, haven't you?
Royal Ascot. This is anybody who is not, who's listening and not watching, I am wearing a red, quite flamboyant top.
That's cool, I like it.
And I actually wore this for day 1 of Royal Ascot with a very jazzy skirt and a nice hat. Would you believe
Wearing,
it?
very sustainable of you, I like
Very
that.
sustainable.
Yeah. Well, this is from Deauville Market from about
Our happy
7
place.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
that served me well. And if you're wondering why I have my new bandana accessory, no, sorry, very glamorous headscarf.
Headscarf, yeah.
Headscarf. This is my all gold racing silk scarf because do you know what I said to them when they were producing their merchandise? They had these big kind of woolly, more like a kind of rugby football-y scarf.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, we've got a lot of female members, so we need something a little bit more feminine. And this you can like tie on your handbag or put around your head like this. Do you like how I've styled it?
I do, and she's been forced into styling it like that due to the fact that obviously we're sponsored by Old Gold, and I was supposed to bring the Old Gold merchandise and have failed dramatically, mainly because I'm in a hire car, don't want to get into that shit show of the story, so we're not going to go down that route actually. But it does mean that I don't have the cups.
And you forgot the scarf.
And I forgot everything. But I am bringing top level banter.
Are you? Oh, well, you know, just put it out there now. Okay, so where should we start? Because just to recap,
Where are we going?
We are now, well, this is going out on the Monday before the Doncaster St Leger meeting, which is a 4-day meeting, which I'll be covering for ITV. We've had in the meantime, well, we've had quite a lot of action. We've had all of York, that was busy, a lot happened there. Lots of international racing as well, which we can touch upon. But with Doncaster in mind,
well, Doncaster and Irish Champions Weekend, which is a terrible clash. This clash is well up there with the Goodwood-Galway clash.
I think it's worse.
Do you?
Yeah. Well,
Oh my
Galway's
God.
more jumps.
Well, fair.
And Goodwood's more flat. Whereas these 2 meetings are literally competing for the same horses. You've got the St Leger at Doncaster on the Saturday. And
Final classic of the season.
Irish St Leger at the Curragh the day after. The slight difference being that the St Leger at Doncaster is for 3-year-olds only. Irish St Leger is open to older horses as well. So thankfully they're slightly fishing in different pools. But there's a lot of racing and it's just hard to kind of be able to concentrate on both meetings at the same time.
We've spoken about this before, haven't we? In terms of like a media point of view, it's really hard to give everything the attention it deserves. You know, all the racing at the Curragh and Leopardstown the first day, Curragh on Sunday, that deserves full attention. The Curragh probably will get that because obviously Sunday, no St Leger.
Yes, no, we're covering it
of
Sunday
course,
as well.
yes.
Although it's lesser racing,
It's
so
pushed
Ireland
back.
will have more
Yeah.
attention. But wait, did they experiment with having later start times?
Yes, they did.
And that's
I
not,
don't
that's
know.
gone
I
back
think
now.
That's all to do with the World Pool, isn't it?
Should know that, shouldn't we?
We should know that,
should
yeah.
know it.
But they did experiment with that because there was a time where the jockeys could do both.
Yes,
There
they
was a
could
time,
fly from
yeah.
one to the other.
Yeah, that now isn't the case. Anyway, the point being that it's a terrible clash, all in all. And
But some good races that we've got loads to look forward to because the St Leger at Doncaster is looking a bit like an Aidan O'Brien kind of clash between his good horses. You've got the Dual Derby winner Lambourne in there. Then you've got Scandinavia, who's actually currently favourite.
Yeah. The St Leger, even though it's one of the most it is, I think, the most unfashionable classic of the whole year. It'd be my favourite classic of the whole year because it's
the oldest one.
It's the oldest. It is the oldest. It's probably the reason I'm in racing. Well, I'm doing the job I'm doing, definitely. I went there for...
Just to recap, because some people listening, watching might be like, classic, remind us. So you've got the 1,000 guineas, the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket in May, then you've got the Derby and the Oaks at Epsom in June, and then the St Leger is the last one that comes at Doncaster in September, and it's over a mile and 6 furlongs, so it's the furthest of the three. It's all for 3-year-old generation, and the Triple Crown generally is win the Guineas, win the Derby, and win the St Leger. Has been done for ages and won't happen again this year.
That was a really good recap. I like the way you just rattled through that. You're like bang, 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 bang. Just get the facts out.
Okay, right. Now we can have a funny story.
No, it's not even a funny story. Actually, I do have funny Doncaster stories. So the reason that I decided that I wanted to be a presenter was courtesy of the St Leger. When Arctic Cosmos won it with William Buick, and I think we're talking 2008. I probably got that wrong, which would be really embarrassing because it's my own personal story. But basically, I just through my mum and connections, I ended up having a day behind the scenes with the old Channel 4 racing. And because I was living up in Yorkshire at the time, my mum was like, oh, she'll come along to the St Leger. And I drove my Peugeot 106 there. And so it's like 18, 19 or whatever year it was. Drove my Peugeot 106 there, had such a great day. John Franken was there and John Gosden won it, obviously, with Arctic Cosmos, young William Buick at the time. And I just had such a great day that I remember I got in the car on the way home. I was so ignorant and naive being that young. And I remember being stuck at the traffic lights coming out of Doncaster. And I just remembered so distinctly being like, oh, well, that's easy. That's what I'll do for the rest of my life.
And when you had that very first look behind the scenes of the whole TV side of things, did you think, I can do this and this is what I really want to be doing?
Yeah, clearly. I honestly, it was like I did the day, had a great day. I sat at those traffic lights. I just remember them being on red, looking like, I remember it so clearly, just it was like a light bulb moment. Like, there you go. And it was just like such a relief. I remember feeling relieved, like, oh, thank God I found what I'm going to do with my life.
Found a thing.
And then I did it with my life. It's amazing.
Quite right. Very good.
And then I've had some big nights out in Doncaster as well.
Here we go.
God, she keeps trying to like drag it back to the racing.
Yeah,
she's like, oh, Scandinavia,
get her back on course.
Exciting. No.
No, but hang on, that's actually quite good going from you because Doncaster's one of the meetings that I get to. You know how we always like, oh, well, Goodwood's a really big social occasion and Ascot as well.
How it is.
Doncaster, I kind of get there and it's like, I feel it's a bit daunting kind of going out in Doncaster because it's a little bit gritty, right? Or is that just me being a bit of a
so filthy.
Softie?
It's so filthy.
So wait, the first time we went with ITV to Doncaster, we stayed in a hotel in the centre of town, and on your bedside, as a like little welcome pack, was a pair of earplugs.
I thought you were going to say a condom.
I actually quite extreme.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
Well,
interesting. Isn't that interesting the way our minds work? All the way like reality versus...
A pair of condoms. No, earplugs, because the hotel was literally like above a nightclub, next to a nightclub, across the street from loads of bars. So we didn't stay there again.
No, well, you're probably, you're not wrong. So Donny, look, I don't want to slate Donny because obviously it's it'd be a home fixture for me in terms of A, location in Yorkshire, but B, an arena racing track, of course, and I work at Sky. So all here for Donny. And I like the racing. The racing is good. The people of Doncaster, Yorkshire in general, great fun. But if you're going out after the St Leger, it's a big one. It's a big one. My friend Tasha Rose, she actually used to work in horse racing over here. She now works in Hong Kong. She reminded me of the Doncaster story of back when we were young. We went out after racing in Doncaster, ended up on this club. I think it was called Silver Street. I think the club, like there's a load of bars and clubs on this one road in Doncaster. And we got in there and I just remember having a great time until a few issues. So at one stage I turned around and this woman downed her drink and it was like it looked like a concoction of just all sorts.
Very bright coloured.
She downed it. She then threw up back into her glass and she caught it in her glass and then she just carried on drinking the drink.
No.
As in, yes.
With the vomit in it?
Yeah, as in she had no comprehension.
No.
Yeah, I'm not joking. So she threw up and then she's like, oh, whatever. And then she just carried on drinking the drink and it was her vomit.
I actually look
right. And then the same nightclub, there's a pole, because obviously there's always a pole in every good nightclub. And this woman was on the pole, and look, I don't want to go into details, but basically she did not have any pants on, and she was wearing a very
professional.
No, she wasn't. No, sorry, she was just a casual punter. Like she was just there, like we all were. And she had like one of those banded skirts on, and she didn't have any pants on, and she basically like left a snail's trail down the pole. Is that too much for everyone? Is it too much?
That is revolting.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Okay, so we might put people off going out.
Sure, go out in Doncaster.
But be prepared.
But be prepared. You just need to be prepared. Anyway, those are my Doncaster memories, and then we're going to flip to yours, and you're going to be like, oh, well, when my dad had a runner there, it was great. We went out for dinner.
No, not even that. No, you went back to Newmarket.
Straight back to Newmarket.
Straight back to Newmarket. Right, well, I'm not really sure where to go from there. My Doncaster experiences have been much more mellow, I've got to say. And in recent years, they actually built, of course they have, they built a hotel on the racetrack.
Yes.
Which is super convenient. Like, it's so nice. You go there, you stay in the hotel, you literally walk 50 meters to work, and then it's right there. So it's super easy, and it's clean and really comfortable and lovely.
Winning.
Yeah, and small pluses, you know. And then it's in terms of things to do around Doncaster, like great fish and chips.
Well, basically, that's all you got to do. If you're going racing to Doncaster, just enjoy the racing on site. And to be fair, Yorkshire people, Yorkshire staff, they're all class there. Great viewing course, in fairness. Yep. Great grandstands, like you won't be short of room. There's no complaints for the track itself or the racing. And then you just want to nip across the road, go to Whitby's, that big famous fish and chip place. You can either eat in or you can take away. The takeaway queue after racing is literally out the door, but it's quite fun. Like loads of punters chat to you. I've stood in that line. So I go on my usual low-key Sky days, and then I literally go and stand in the queue for fish and chips afterwards, and like loads of people chat away to you. And okay.
The other one is have you been to the Chinese? I think it's in
Bawtry, very famous Chinese. Everyone goes there, down to Bawtry. Apparently Bawtry's all right.
Yeah, and there's a hotel there as well where I can stay in. So that's a couple of tips. And in terms of like what to expect at Donny, so it's a 4-day meeting. The big day is obviously the St Leger day on the Saturday.
Yeah.
But in terms of dressing up, they do actually get quite dressed up, don't they?
Oh yeah, there's best dressed and stuff. No, they give it a good kick, Yorkshire lasses.
And regardless of the weather, it's...
Oh yeah, usual thing. But also...
It's decided before the weather forecast.
Absolutely. And also there's quite a lot of indoor space at Doncaster in that grandstand. You probably don't know about it. I feel like your Pres position and the Sky Pres position is actually really exposed. But there is a lot of inside area, so that's kind of all right.
But what I do like about Doncaster, which you don't get at a lot of other race courses, is the parade ring is actually the same side of the grandstand as the track.
Yeah.
So many race courses, you've got the track, you've got the grandstand, and then the parade ring behind, which is where we always are. So you actually never really see the action on the track.
Oh, never even thought about that.
And it's so nice being there because you can
just turn around and then they come flying past you.
Yeah.
And it'll be Scandinavia flying past you for the St Leger winter.
Do you think it is?
I think so, probably.
And what more so, I think he's very exciting, but I was very unimpressed by Lambourne when I saw him at York. So Lambourne won the Derby, won the Irish Derby.
Slating off a Coolmore horse again.
I like Scandinavia. I'm just saying what I saw. And I was right, because he didn't run very well in the race.
No, you were right, yeah.
And I just thought he looked a little bit dried up. Like,
he was, like, there's no getting away from the fact he's not an impressive horse to look at. In any, whether it's Derby day when you go back or, at York, he's not an impressive horse to look at.
No.
So yeah, I don't know, I think everyone's quite excited about Scandinavia.
We are thrilled to have All Gold Racing sponsoring season 3 of Running Loose.
They're one of the UK's leading racehorse syndicates, making ownership fun and affordable, with shares starting from just £60.
As an owner, you'll get weekly updates on your horse, the chance to win race day tickets, and invitations to stable visits.
And All Gold have horses in training all over the UK and in Ireland as well now, with none other than Henry de Bromhead.
Head over to allgoldracing.com to find out more. And as a special offer to Running Loose listeners, enter the code RL15 for 15% off your first share.
Plus, anyone who redeems that discount code will automatically go into a draw to win a magnificent bundle of 10 horse shares, and that's a brilliant way to get involved.
But the thing is, who's going to ride what?
Well,
the whole weekend, you said how Irish Champion weekend is on the same day as the St Leger weekend. So for Aidan O'Brien, loads of runners everywhere, including the 2 favourites in the St Leger. He doesn't have Ryan Moore, and he doesn't have Wayne Lorden. Well, we think because he's trying to appeal, but we don't think he's going to get off. And it's bizarre, the Ryan Moore story, wasn't it? Suddenly, on a race day last week, Aidan O'Brien comes out in an interview and says Ryan Moore's not going to be riding for the rest of the season because he's got a broken leg.
Got a broken leg. Not just like, oh, Ryan's had an accident on the gallops or anything like that. He's been riding with a fracture in his femur or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a Moor, so he's hard as nails. Bearing in mind, I have a very low pain threshold, like very low. Do you?
I don't know. I think I'm all right. I mean, I've had 3 cesareans and kind of had to get off and get on with it. Although actually, I've had a wisdom tooth that's been playing out. I've been whinging a lot about. It's going to have to come out quite soon, which is a bit rank.
It's so old. 3 cesareans and a wisdom tooth.
All right. Go on, give us your recent ailments.
I don't know. Recently, I sort of pulled a bit of skin off this finger. I'm not even joking, and I was a bit whingy about it. But no, I do have a very low pain threshold. But bringing it back to the Moors, I just think that they literally, I mean, all joking aside, they could ride with a broken leg, and literally, a man has been doing, and they're just hard as nails. That family, I don't know how they do it.
And yet, he's been riding with a broken leg for 2 months, but now he's stood down for most of the rest of the season.
Very odd, but I guess, you know, if there's a problem and it's niggling and he can't ride out, I don't know. I'm just like thinking about how that's played out behind the scenes. Maybe Aidan's just stepped in and said, you know what, mate, we want to save you for the future. So let's just call it quits here for the season. So now Christophe Soumillon's coming into play, Super Soumi sub, who we love. We're all about him. He's going to have loads of opportunities. And of course, he's ridden loads of the good horses over in France and he's been well associated with the Cumani team for a long time.
And he's available. He doesn't have an existing retainer.
Yeah.
So
that totally story checks out, makes sense.
And he's already said he's not going to be associating himself with Lazy Griff, who's the 3rd favourite in the St Leger. So he's free to ride for Aidan. But does he ride Scandinavia or Lambourn at Doncaster, or does he ride Delacroix over in Ireland?
Surely he'll go over for Delacroix.
Probably.
I think he'll go over for Delacroix. I think the team...
Which is the horse that he didn't really let out in the eclipse, remember?
I know. Sweet, sweet justice. It's all going to go full circle here. I think, do you not think that the Aidan team, it's home team, they see, the Irish Champion Stakes, has he won it 12 times, I think, in a 25-year period, and he'll want to win it again, and I'd feel
And in terms of a stallion value, Delacroix is obviously more important to them.
Yeah. And I just feel like that's a real home event. It's a race that they really champion, that Irish Champion Stakes. They want to win it. I just feel like that's the priority.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who then does ride their runners.
Well, rides are up for grabs. Imagine how much brown nosing is going on. You get those jockeys texting Aidan love you, Aidan, great hairstyle. So glasses look cute today, wink.
Okay, so that's to be watched.
To be decided. Over Irish Champions weekend, by the way.
You've been a few times.
Yeah, we've covered Donny. I mean, I've been a few times, and yeah, so anyone who doesn't know, it's Leopardstown on the Saturday and then the Curragh on the Sunday.
Is it good to do both? I mean, how geographically
you definitely can do both. They're near enough. Leopardstown obviously just right on the outskirts of Dublin, and then the Curragh a little bit further away, but both great tracks. And of course, the Curragh's had the refurb, and Leopardstown is a classic track. I've mentioned that before. It's just a great track for viewing. There's been some epic battles there. It's a proper race day like that with the Irish Champion Stakes. It'll be a cracking race. Obviously, Ombudsman doesn't go. Kind of hoped he would, but even without him, it'll be a belter of a race, that with Delacroix up at the top of the market and some likely types in behind. And it'll be, hopefully, it gets a really good atmosphere and a really good sort of vibe, because a proper race like that, proper Group 1 over a middle distance at a track like that, it's just yes.
Yeah, it takes a bit of riding, bit of knowing, doesn't it, Leopardstown?
Yeah. And then you roll on to the Curragh.
Yeah, on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Where the big race is Irish and Leger.
Yes.
Open to older horses, like we said. And
so Yambrugel, Illinois, another sort of cool, I mean, it's kind of cool, more smash up at the top of all these markets. It's a little bit dull, but Alriff is in there.
Alriff is in there from Joseph O'Brien, who we think is going to run. Last time out winner at the Curragh of the Curragh Cup, mile and 6. He stepped up in trip. He's also since been bought by Australian Bloodstock with a view.
So Australian Bloodstock suddenly engages Francesca. It's all
Well, obviously, because we're recording this on the day, 2 days after the nominations came out for this year's Melbourne Cup. This year's $10 million Melbourne Cup.
Wind her up.
$4.5 million to the winner. I mean, that's quite worth
Beautiful. Winning. Will Alriffa's team be taking that home?
I think they're definitely going to be going. Joseph, I think, has also got Goody Two Shoes in there, who he's going to play a bit of a game with, I think, because he wants it to get right in at the bottom of the weights. And so you can kind of play that waiting game, because obviously the top 24 horses in the handicap get in, but there's obviously every year a massive attrition rates between, you know, what's nominated and what ends up running. And so you can kind of hover around the like 28, 30, 35 mark in the order of entry.
Yeah.
And then just hope horses above you just don't go, like for whatever reason, you know, they might get an injury, or their connections might decide not to pay up the later stages because they think they're not going to be competitive. And that's where you kind of play the game, because you want to try and get in on the lightest weight possible without having to run previously there to kind of then add an extra half a kilo to your weights to then get in. So it's always quite a fun game, that, seeing who's going to sneak in.
Quite fun. So for people listening, so it's like your idea of fun is quite like niche fun, like watching the in and outs of the Melbourne Cup.
Well, if you like horse racing, it is fun. And actually, when you're there, this is one of the real benefits about the Melbourne Cup, because of all the big races around the world, it's the only one that's a handicap. I mean, obviously the International is a handicap, but this is a handicap. So any horse can win. It's not like you just take the best horse there and it'll win. And it's always such a wide open race.
No, and to be fair, I am actually taking the piss.
Super important. Well, mainly because, okay, I started going to Melbourne Cup with my dad's horses. So I'd fly with them, I'd ride them every day, I'd literally do everything with them. And you're there and you're sometimes really sweating on a run. You're like, okay.
So you're like literally watching who's running.
Yeah. And every day you get the order of entry. You're like, okay, what's the latest news? Okay, that one's going to come out. They're saying that one might not run. And so you're there thinking, okay, we're one step closer. And then there's some last gasp attempts to be able to run in the Melbourne Cup by targeting other races in the lead up. But then sometimes you get very close to the Melbourne Cup itself and you don't want to have to run, because then your horse might not bounce back. Oi,
Drama.
You haven't been to the Melbourne Cup,
No.
so you don't really know what you're talking about.
I know, I really don't.
Really good overseas contingent entered. There's also the possibility of the first ever American jockey riding in it. Johnny Velasquez.
No way.
Yeah, because an American horse has been entered. And he's been nominated for the ride, but no American jockey has ever ridden in it.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And of course, the main focus is just a few days before. What's the date of the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, so it was always Breeders' Cup the Saturday.
Yeah.
Before the Melbourne Cup. Melbourne Cup's always the first Tuesday in November. Yeah. It's a 4-day meeting, which a lot of people don't necessarily know. So you start with Derby Day on the Saturday.
Yep.
Which is often the same day as the Breeders' Cup.
Yep.
And then you go Melbourne Cup Day on the Tuesday, Oaks Day on the Thursday, and then it's now been called the Champions Day on the last Saturday, which historically was one of the weaker days, but now they put loads of money towards it. They've put more Group 1s on that day, and it's a massive...
You'd be absolutely exhausted. That's a hell of a week, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's better than Royal Ascot, because you get the days off in between.
Yeah, lovely. But then, of course, you get the geezers that try and do the Breeders' Cup, Melbourne Cup double.
And often for jockeys, it really doesn't work, because they'll get there and they're wrecked.
Some jockeys that ride for the bigger owners would try and do both. So like a William Buick
or a Frankie
Dettori in the old days,
yeah.
Or Ryan Moore would, and so then you ship out of the Breeders' Cup, I presume, the night, and then you miss a whole day, don't you? And then you land in Melbourne on the Monday, and then broadcasters such as Nick Luck, he does the two. But I just say honestly, it's just that must be exhausting. Joseph, I suppose, like he'll be at the Breeders' Cup, and then if he's got runners, he'll be doing the double. But that's an exhausting week by anyone's standards.
It really is, with the time difference.
And I have stamina, but I'd be tired.
Yeah. Okay, now, Vanessa, the time has come for the new most popular thread in our Ryle Moves podcast, the segment Come or Rather Up. So you got 30 seconds. Give us a rant. Ready? Okay, ready? Go.
Okay, my rant today is about Starbucks. Did you want a racing rant?
That's not been here, bubbles.
Starbucks, because they are still selling the pumpkin spice lattes that they do throughout the autumn, so now, but they don't advertise it on their menus. So when you go through the drive-through or you get into a Starbucks, you don't see it. So you think, oh my God, I can't ask for a pumpkin spice latte. But actually, you can. They just don't advertise it, which is wild to me. And your own...
Well, they're good.
Really good. They're spicy, they're pumpkin-y, they're latte-y. Winning. Anyway, the point is that they're not on the menus anymore. And I just think that it's really mean for all our customers out there.
Okay, 35 seconds. You can stop.
Thank you.
Pumpkin spice latte, what are you, as an American teenager at Thanksgiving?
You can piss off because you don't understand. You've never had one, and also
It's really sweet and syrupy.
They only give me half this pumpkin spice juice, like half the syrup and no whipped cream.
So it's only 700 calories as opposed to 1,500.
You know it.
Is that your little sweet treat?
That's how I justify it.
Okay.
I also had apple crumble for breakfast as well with it. Got my sugar hit.
Right, that's not what I was expecting on your all riled up, but it's a goodie.
Thank you. Now, we've really bounced around topics. We've gone from like seedy nightclubs in Doncaster to what we think is going to win a classic to Melbourne Cup entries and everything in between. And actually that just touches really well with the poll results. So guys, I asked you all to vote about what you wanted to hear and see more of on Running Loose. So the options were racing performances / preview future races, explainers from behind the scenes, racing politics, and then non-racing topics / general waffle.
General waffle.
Well, I just feel like sometimes you end up sort of generally waffling away.
Yes.
So
I'm curious.
yeah.
What scored highest? Was there big kind of discrepancies?
Not that much. So the result, so highest to lowest goes like this. Highest, non-racing topics / general waffle.
At least Vanessa's funny stories about...
No, I think it's more like your life behind the scenes, like a peek behind the curtain at Jessica's cesareans.
And wisdom tooth issues. So sexy. I haven't told you about my cliff jumping. That was fun. Have I?
Yeah. Didn't you?
No, I told you beforehand.
Sorry, go on then. Do you want to dive into that?
Dive in, and I what you just said. Anticlimax, because we got there and it was so choppy that we couldn't actually jump off the cliff. So we just went for a fairly wild swim, which was fun.
In a wetsuit.
And I so in a bit it was freezing.
It does make me feel a lot better that even you can't pull a wetsuit off.
Excuse me?
That's a fair statement.
What?
Yeah, we'll get the picture up for the viewers.
I'm not sure that's fair. I wasn't posing.
Okay.
Okay. Go on.
It wasn't my best angle. Okay, so number one.
So general waffle, not the most goes.
Complete rubbish. Lowest, I haven't gone highest to lowest here, I'm just bouncing around, but the lowest was 15% racing performances / previewing future races. So the way I think we should bring that back up, because we want to engage a racing audience, yet people are listening for our stories about, what's going on at home or whatever, and your cliff jumping, but we do want people to be engaged in the racing. So I think going forwards, we're going to try flesh out. I think we should focus on one race and try and flesh out the stories behind the race and see if people like that.
Okay. Starting from now?
No. Well, I'll have to give that some thought and some research. Racing politics got 23%. Yeah, no one really enjoys politics, let's be honest. And then explainers from behind the scenes got 29%.
Okay. Well, so in a way that all makes sense. Because
it's a really fair split, really.
When we started the podcast, we said, look, there are so many podcasts out there, including your very good Betfair podcast.
Well, that's now being canned off, so well said.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh. Axed. Really?
Yeah, the Waden one.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Well, that's good. You can focus more attention on Running Loose.
One of them got axed. The other one is staying.
Okay, but there's loads of podcasts out there for race previews, race reviews,
there is
news and tipping, all of that stuff. So people aren't going to come to us for that, mainly because we're not as timely as a lot of other people for reasons that we talked about before. So behind the scenes stuff, we can bring people things that they wouldn't normally get. And general waffle, annoyingly, all my friends always say to me, oh, Vanessa, she's so funny. So we are clearly, hopefully, entertaining someone along the line.
I am funny.
You are funny, and I mean, you are quite funny. Anyway.
In terms of behind the scenes things, we actually had a few behind the scenes things we could expand on.
Yeah?
Well, we were talking about yearling sales season.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Already in full swing.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they're talking about Doncaster. We've had the Doncaster sales, which is traditionally always the earliest one of the yearling sales, where you tend to pick up the precocious 2-year-old tights. Having had the Somerville sales at Tattersalls.
Yeah.
Again, similar mould. Because the people are selling their horses at this time of year, you don't want to sell something that's been born later on in the breeding season, that's bred to stay a bit further, because they're going to look a bit weak and a bit backward compared to the ones that are they're more ready-made and 2-year-olds. So it's really only the start, because there are so many sales like between now and what?
Yeah, so Deauville's been and gone, hasn't it, actually? As well?
And that's a big one.
Which was a shame, because we both missed that little trip to Deauville next year. Maybe Christmas. So Deauville's been and gone, Donny's been and gone, and yeah, the first of the Newmarket ones. But what is interesting is a lot of people, not a lot, one person once asked me.
Just say like.
Yeah, a load of people. One person once asked me what happens to the yearlings once they leave the sale. So obviously they sell as yearlings, you can't race them until the following April, Brocklesby. essentially. So, what do they do over the winter? How does that process go? And basically, the precocious ones may well go straight to a yard. And if they're bought by a trainer on spec, they probably go to a yard and get broken in early, and then might just be literally trotting and cantering away for a few months, or might get turned away for 4 weeks and then brought back in. And then the horses that are going to be later developers might go back to stud farms and have some downtime after the sale, and then be brought back in the new year type thing to be broken in, basically. But essentially, they're all looking, lots of those yearlings that are brought in August, September and October will look to be in yards by January, really. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Would your
Gosh,
dad
I
have
definitely
had-
remember riding yearlings in the middle of winter. It's always an interesting time because to educate them, you go and do kind of figures of eights on.
Oh.
Well, we used to. I'm not sure they do that so much these days.
That's interesting.
That was always fun. You really had to put your stirrups down for that, clamp on, and really kind of be able to guide them with your legs, and they'd be like spurting off in all sorts of different directions.
It's wild for me to think about riding a yearling, as in, in the sport horse world and where I'm from, it's like you go really steady with them as a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
The idea of getting on a horse as a yearling is just bonkers.
What is quite interesting, and a lot of people think, with race horses that they're pushed so early and they're racing as 2-year-olds and all of that. Yes, but studies have proven that it's really good for the horse's kind of structure to get going when they're younger, to then lay down more, foundations for their bones. And
yeah, it's all about bone strength, isn't it? I know, and that also ties in a lot with, obviously, in the jump sphere, you don't really start racing, the national hunt horse until they're 3 in a bumper, but mainly 4 or 5. And over in France, they start them at 2. The national hunt horses over there at 2, and that all ties in with why the French horses have become so popular over here in the UK and Ireland.
It always amazes me why the English don't adopt more of that model. They see it working so well in France.
Because we're British, and so we're just so how we do it is the right way.
Don't tell us.
Yeah.
Back to the yearlings, I do remember, I think it was practically like Christmas Eve one year, and we were doing that cantering on the lime kilns and the figures of 8. I was probably out of control. Horse in front of me kicks my leg, and the kick goes through my boot, through my jeans, through my socks, into the front of my shin, and leaves like a kind of puncture wound in the front of my shin. And on Christmas Eve, my mum was like, "I'm not taking you to A&E. It's going to be like huge queues, not going." So gets the vet in, and he puts like a staple in my shin.
Oh my God.
The staples, and then gives me antibiotics for dogs.
Wow, you do have a high pain threshold.
Well, that actually wasn't
at
bad. It would then get infected.
That would be absolutely rank. For God's sake, Sarah Cumani, pull yourself together as a mother.
I think I'd actually do the same thing. I'd be like, "No, you're fine. You're fine."
Hardy bunch. That would be like an ambulance job for me, and I'm not even joking.
Lie down on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
Can't move.
Well, you know me, anything for attention.
But yearling sales is actually a super important time of year, because for all the breeders, they put so much into these horses, and it's taken quite a long time. You have to first get your mare, and then you decide which stallion to send it to. The nominations are pretty hefty cost-wise. You've got the keep fees until the yearling's ready to sell. So many things can go wrong. And then even in the sales ring, if 2 of the right people aren't on your horse, then they don't make as much as they should make. You've then got to earn your earnings for the year to then pay for the stud and the nominations going on. And these days it's become so polarized. The horses at the top of the market, the top 10%, can make absolute fortunes. And the ones middle to lower, a lot of people are taking a bath, which is why so many people are getting out of it, which is why the foal crop is going down. And it's a bit of
it's actually a minefield, and it's probably one for another day, but it's a brave man's game, that breeding, yearlings, pinhooking, all of that. Brave man's game, definitely.
It really is. I have a feeling we run out of time. The good news is we've got loads to talk about in our next podcast. And so we will have lots of stuff to talk about next time. Thank you for joining us this time. Hope you've enjoyed the studio environment. And please send us in some more questions, because we need some more talking points. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.